So let's talk about arguments again. Now we're gonna try to investigate in details about positional arguments, default arguments, keyword arguments that we've been talking about in the last videos. So as we saw it before, when you have an asterisk args, we were talking about a function that has any number of arguments that we can receive. So we have the specific keyword here, asterisk args, and this will give you all function parameters as a tuple, and all of them, they are not keyworded, so there is no default value indexed by a specific variable name, and can have any length size as we know it. Also, if we use asterisk kwargs for keyword arguments, that will give you all keyword arguments except for those corresponding to a formal parameter as a dictionary. What we mean by that is, let's say we have our function right here and we define as def full and asterisk args. This means that for whatever number of arguments that we have been passed here, we're gonna go there and iterate over that entire list of arguments, that entire tuple of arguments. So let's just define our function over here, and I can pass one or any number of arguments for that function. As we can see here, we have that full A, it prints A for us, but now here I have 3 arguments being passed, so all of them, they are inside this positional arbitrary number of non-keyword arguments, and then we iterate over all of them and print it out. As for the keyword arguments, we have to pass with a specific key, so it is placed under this kind of dictionary structure, which means that as long as we pass a key with a specific value, we can keep it up using as many arguments as we want. So in this case right here, what we're going to do is we're going to print all the keywords for this argument. So what we have is for each keyword that we're using is the form of a tuple, right? So when we call our function, in this case here it's called bar, what we're saying is, hey, there is this keyword right here with product and the value of cheese with the price keyword and the value of 0.42, and this they're gonna have to be printed out here for us. So what we're saying is print it out first the keyword itself that we're using. In this case, what is the keyword? Is the index reference, you can say this. And then we're going to go in our list of keyword arguments and we're going to take the value accordingly to that keyword that we're passing here, right? So think as this as a big dictionary that we're using, and then here we are passing the key, and this here is going to retrieve the value accordingly to that the key in the dictionary that we're passing, all right? So and when you use this construction right here, you can use 1 keyword argument, 2, or any number, it doesn't matter. As long as all the keyword arguments are being used as in a dictionary form with key and value, we can keep calling them as long as you want. There is one thing though we should keep in mind is, and I didn't mention it before, but all positional arguments, they must occur before the keyword arguments, and that's pretty important, okay? For example, let's get back here to our keyword value, and let's say we have here, it's pretty much the same function as before, just to show another example. In this case right here, what we're saying is, let's call the function bar, which is expecting to receive a bunch of keyword arguments, 1 or more, and then we printed out the key and the value according to the dictionary structure. But now we're passing a positional argument. So if we try to run this here, we're going to receive an error simply because that bar function, it takes 0 positional arguments. The only kind of arguments that we have here is the keyword ones, as we saw in our previous example, right? Said that, let's go ahead and take a look at a more complex structure. Now we have positional arguments, an arbitrary number of arguments, and then we also have the keywords arguments right here. So in this function right here, we expect to receive one positional argument. So whatever we call that function, we can just use it the way we want it. We can receive 0 or more positional arguments, non-keyword, and then after that we are receiving keyword arguments, right? Then what we are doing this function is the following. When we printed out the message here, we use the first positional argument in which we expect to receive a value. We don't need to specify which position is this because it's going to follow this. Then we're going to do there and use this value again, but look at this. Since we are defining that after a positional argument we're going to have a variable number of arguments, we're going to go in that list and we're going to take the very first element that we are passing that bunch of arguments that we are using, the arbitrary number, and you're going to take the first one, the position 1, not the first would be 0, and then we're going to print it out. After that, we're going to iterate over all the arbitrary parameters that we are having here, the non-keyword ones, and we're going to print all the values that we're passing, right? And then after that, we'll just print all the keyword arguments according to the same way we had in our bar function. That is, we printed out the key and the value according to that key. Okay, so let's run our function. And then when we call here the function cheese shop, what we have is we have the first argument being passed, and which is being placed right here, so one positional argument. So all of the others, they're going to be placed where exactly? All the others between the keywords and the positional argument, they're going to be considered the arbitrary arguments that we have, which means that after it takes the first one and place in the position that we want, in this case here is kind, all the others until we find the very first keyword arguments, they're going to be placed into this list right here, or in this tuple, right? And after that, after we do the first keyword arguments, all of them should be keyword arguments, okay? So if we go ahead and run that, we can see very clearly that, let's take a look at the first three messages right here. So we have, do you have any, and then we take the value of kind, so do you have any Limburger? And then you have, I'm sorry, we are all out of Limburger again. And why that? Because we are always using the positional argument. And then before we start listing all the things that we have in our list of arbitrary arguments right here, we're going to print the position number 1 inside our list of arguments. And if we see here, we have 0, as in it's very funny, sir. 1 as indeed, and then it's really very, very runny, sir. Okay? So 0, 1, and 2. And as we can see here, what is the value that we're printed out? We're printed out the one in the very first position. So it didn't print it out, it's very runny, sir. And why that? Because the first argument right here is considered to be a positional one, and only this here they're going to make up our list for arguments. So we have the position 0, 1, and 2. After that, we go there and print it out all the arbitrary arguments that we have, and then we go ahead and print it out. Where is it? Here. Yep. And we printed out all our slashes here, our dashes, and then we iterate over all the keywords arguments that we have. So shopkeeper is Michael Palin, client John Cleese, and sketch is cheese shop sketch. Okay, so thank you and happy coding.